You don't know what you need, and that's why it finally appears. Lesson 25 says something that sounds absurd until it starts sounding like freedom. I do not know what anything is for. Purpose is meaning. And if purpose is meaning, then the mind assigning purpose is the mind manufacturing meaning, which means the mind can also manufacture lack, which means the mind can also manufacture need. That is why a Twilight Zone episode hits so hard alongside this lesson. Season 1, Episode 12, is called What You Need, and it looks like a story about prediction, but it is not. It is a story about exposing false need. There is a strange little peddler in the episode named Pedot. He does not sell what people want. He gives them what they need. But the colder truth is this: he does not supply need. He exposes that need was never real in the first place. Look at Fred Renard. Renard is not suffering. Renard is not starving. Renard is not desperate. Renard is just living his life, proud, tight, certain, and a little smug. He has no need. Then he steps into an elevator. His scarf catches. Now panic appears. Now urgency appears. Now the mind declares a need. I need a solution right now. But here is the killer. The moment the scissors appear, the need disappears. Instantly. Like it was never there. Because it was never there. It was interpretation masquerading as necessity. That is Lesson 25 in motion. You thought you knew what things were for. You thought the scarf was for style. You thought the elevator was for convenience. You thought the day was for normal life. Then the mind assigns a new purpose. Now everything is for danger. Now everything is for survival. Now everything is for control. Pedot hands Renard the scissors before the need exists, which means the scissors are not a response to need. They are a spotlight on how need gets invented. Need does not live in the world. Need lives in the purpose the ego assigns. Now look at Lefty. Lefty is sitting in a bar drinking. He has money. He has enough money to keep buying liquor. He has more than he needs to continue his chosen distraction. He has no need. Then Pedot gives him something that makes no sense. A bus ticket to Scranton. Lefty laughs at it. Why would I need this? I'm right here. I'm fine. But the ticket is not about travel. It is about interruption. It is about breaking a loop. It is about the moment the mind is finally willing to stop circling the same drain. Lefty does not need a ticket until the moment arrives when his life is about to pivot. The need appears at the exact moment the false story collapses enough to allow help. Not help as rescue, help as redirection. Now watch the crowd scene. After Renard gets hit by a car, people rush outside. And Pedot has given Renard a comb. A comb. The most ordinary object imaginable. But those people did not need a comb while they were asleep. They were inside, unaware, not missing anything. Then they come outside and suddenly appearance matters. Suddenly the situation asks for order. Suddenly the mind invents a need. The comb is not magic. It is a mirror. It reveals that need is a costume the ego puts on after the fact. Need appears when a new purpose is assigned, and the purpose is usually personal. This is exactly what Lesson 25 is saying. You perceive the world as meaningful in terms of ego goals. Those goals have nothing to do with your own best interest because the ego is not you. So the ego cannot know what anything is for. And because it cannot know what anything is for, it misuses everything. The ego turns objects into idols. It turns events into threats. It turns relationships into supply. It turns time into pressure. It turns the body into a project. And then it calls the resulting anxiety need. Need is the ego's way of baptizing fear. Need is the ego's way of making lack feel responsible. Need is the ego's way of turning imagination into a command. That is why Pedot's line is so cold. If I give it to you, you only need it once. Truth resolves. Illusion repeats. Ego needs regenerate. Real help does not. Renard cannot tolerate this. Renard wants more. Renard wants guarantees. Renard wants the peddler to become a machine that feeds him certainty forever. Renard wants the world to be controllable. Renard wants to purchase invulnerability. But Pedot will not do it, because the thing Renard truly needs cannot be handed to him as an object. It is not scissors. It is not a ticket. It is not a comb. It is not a product. What Renard truly needs is the collapse of the need maker. What Renard truly needs is the end of authorship. What Renard truly needs is the willingness to admit he does not know. Because the moment you say, "I know what I need," the system closes. The ego locks the door and appoints itself the judge. It says, "I will decide what everything is for. I will decide what everything means. I will decide what will save me." Lesson 25 is the reversal. I do not know what anything is for. And that not knowing is not a weakness. It is willingness. It is the first crack where guidance can enter. So what would finally be allowed to speak if you truly didn't know what anything was for? Not the ego, not its needs list, not its emergency plan, not its personal interests. What speaks then is what created the whole system in the first place. What speaks then is what knows purpose because it is the source of purpose. What speaks then is love, clarity, innocence, life. Not as philosophy, as timing, as right action, as the one thing you need only once. This is why the episode is not about prediction. It is about exposure. It exposes that what you call need is usually just fear wearing a tie. And it exposes that when fear drops, the answer is already there. Quiet. Ordinary. Precise. You don't know what you need, and that is why it finally appears. Because the moment you stop insisting, something else can finally speak. And when it does, the strangest thing happens. Nothing is missing.